Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You are going to hear a conversation between a host family and an accommodation officer for international students. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5.
Accommodation office, Tom speaking. How may I help you?
Yes, hi. My name's Margaret Williams.
Oh, hi.
I understand that you're looking for host families for international students.
Yes, we're always looking for suitable families, as we have a lot of demand at the moment. How did you hear about us?
From a friend, Mrs. Dalton, who's already with your agency. We live in the same street as her in Maltby.
Ah, yes, I know who you mean. You're quite close to several of our schools.
And I just wanted to ask some questions about registering with you.
No problem.
OK, can you tell me how we go about becoming a host family with you?
Well, once a family first approaches us, we like to make a preliminary visit to the home, have an informal chat and discuss all the registration details first.
That sounds great. Do we need to make an application at this stage?
No, we like to come and visit you first, and provided we're then both happy after the preliminary chat, we usually begin the registration process there and then, and you can complete it and send it in by email.
What about references and things like that?
If the application for registration is submitted and accepted, we need to do some background checks first of all, and we like to have at least 2 references from families or professional people. We'd only do these if you made a definite commitment to proceed.
OK.
We think it's better to check that a family's clear about what is involved in the whole process. Then we can begin the application process.
How long does the process take?
It depends, but it's usually a few weeks, unless there are any delays. Once everything is agreed, we match students with suitable families at the beginning of a term and usually at the beginning of the academic year in September.
That all sounds reasonable.
Can I ask how many students you were thinking of hosting?
We thought that we would like to take 2 to start with. We have 2 daughters aged 14 and 15, so we'd like 2 students around a similar age. That would be ideal. It's easier then for them to strike up a friendship.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Before you hear the rest of the recording, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10.
Obviously, we have to look at things like how far the host family home is from schools we cover, access to libraries, whether you have Wi-Fi, access to public transport and the neighbourhood in general.
OK. That sounds very reasonable. I think we'd like to proceed.
OK, that's good. We could actually do a preliminary visit at the end of this week, Thursday morning or Friday afternoon, or any time on Saturday, and have a more detailed chat and start the application process, if appropriate.
OK. We're both free on Friday afternoon.
That'd be fine. Can I have the number of your house?
It's 53.
53, and 2 more things. Could I take a mobile number?
Yes, it's 08977 392251.
392251.
Yes, that's right.
And your email address?
It's maw973 maltby.co.uk.
Okay. I'll email you the confirmation of the meeting, and shall we say 2 p.m?
Yes,
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You are going to hear a speech from the director of the museum, talking about the annual competition. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15.
Welcome. My name's Darren Timpson, and I'm the director of the Penwood Museum. And I'm here to announce the winners of our annual competition, which, as usual, runs in conjunction with our summer exhibition. Each year, the competition has a specific theme, and the theme we chose for this year's competition is the use of technology to improve links between the local community and the museum. Entrants could choose from a selection of the museum's artefacts to create exhibits on this topic. We've had loads of entries from secondary schools, which is important as more local teenagers are getting involved. I just want to give you some background information about this year's competition. The competition was open to groups of young people from institutions like schools and youth clubs who were aged between 15 and 19 on the final entry date for the competition, which was the 13th of May. While preparing their competition entry, the competitors were allowed to use the educational facilities at the museum and to look for help from local sponsors, but were not allowed to buy any equipment. We then had 7 shortlisted exhibits, which visitors to the museum of all ages were allowed to vote on for the first 3 places. The prize-winning exhibits are having a big impact on Penwood Museum attendances, which have risen by up to 45% since the summer show opened. The first prize in this year's competition has been won by a group of 7 young people who chose various exhibits from the museum's collection of equipment from the 1950s to the 1970s. They arranged them with modern versions and then recorded their own reactions and comments to the exhibits. They then did the same with the comments made by visitors aged 65 and over. And so, can we have a round of applause for the winners from Tigers Community Centre who called their entry Technology Now and Then. And the second prize winners are Tabard High.
Before you hear the rest of the recording, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20.
Before we have some refreshments, I'd like to draw your attention to some of the video commentaries on the winning exhibit, which have been left by members of the public and which are very moving, and some very funny. I particularly liked seeing the recording of the reaction of several people when they talked about an early wooden framed TV from their childhood. They remembered their first TV, which they thought still fitted in with today's trends. They remembered how they would sometimes all go round to someone's house to watch TV as a special treat. But they thought the modern TV screen, with the remote, was much easier to watch. As for the collection of old radios, it has to be seen. They are really huge old wooden frame radios in perfect working order and in perfect condition. Some teenagers' reactions to the radios were very funny. They couldn't believe how big they were. And the older visitors, all of whom used to have one, said they liked them. But they also thought they were too big to fit into living rooms these days. A few more items worth looking at from the display are old kitchen items. Young people thought the cooker from the 1950s looked funny alongside the latest microwaves. Nearly all interviewees who were aged 65 and over used microwave ovens, which they thought were much handier. Seeing old typewriters on display next to slim laptops made them look weird and cumbersome. All those who were 65 and over preferred the laptops, which they thought were thrilling. The other electronic items on display were a collection of old and fairly recent cameras. They also thought the older cameras were well made and better than the newer ones. I'd like to thank you all for coming, and please give a round of applause for all the entrants to the competition.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You are going to hear a conversation between an interviewer and a professor. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26.
Today I'm here with Professor Nittick, who is our new university president. He has been a professor for 20 years and teaches many of the best classes on campus. I know many of you have had him as a teacher and know of his brilliance. Good morning, Professor Nittick. Thank you for stopping by the student station.
Thank you for having me here. It is always great to get to meet many of the students who are involved with our school. I haven't been here since 2 years ago.
Yes, I remember at that time you were still teaching every semester. 2 years later, you're only teaching every once in a while. But it seems like you are still always busy. The administration world is just as busy as the teaching world for you. How do you stay in touch with the university, even with the change in your everyday duties?
I try to stay in touch with what is popular with the university students. I usually spend time with as many students as I can. They usually give me insight into what the new concerns and beliefs are for the new generation. On top of that, I try to be as youthful as I can. I consider myself to be youthful, at least for my age. So I always have a good time and try to stay young. I try my best to not just be a teacher, but also participate in university life.
Interesting. So, are you still doing lots of academic work, or are you mostly concentrating on administrative affairs?
Well, I mostly do administrative affairs now, but that doesn't mean that I still don't have a very deep interest in academic matters. I often visit other campuses around the world and meet other professors in my field. I learn the most by travelling and seeing the different places of the world and the different fields of thought. I even did a television programme last month in Manchester.
Will you be on television any time soon then?
Well, you can call the television station and see if I will be on television any time soon. Maybe I will be on the news report. I don't think it is really that significant, though.
Oh, really? That sounds great. I will remember to look out for you. Let's move on. With all your busy travelling recently, how do you find time for your personal life?
I try to keep my university life separate from my personal life. Sometimes it's hard to find time to just take my wife and 3 kids out for a family dinner, but usually we all manage to get together every few days. I'm taking a few weeks off next month to take my family down to South America, to Brazil for a few days. I can't wait to just sit on the beach.
Wow, that sounds like a wonderful trip. Professor Nittick, could you tell the audience a little about what goes on in an average day of a university administrator?
An average day? Oh, I don't think there is such thing as an average day for me. The last few weeks I've been travelling all the time. I can be in Los Angeles in the morning and in New York by the afternoon and back to Los Angeles by the evening. Sometimes I will spend the whole week at a new university, showing the new administrators the ins and outs of running a university. Sometimes I can spend the whole day in the office on the phone, so there really is no average day for me. I guess that is because I do so many different tasks. Sorry to let all the viewers down, but that is the plain truth.
Now look at questions 27 to 30.
Well, I guess I can sum it up for them. You are a busy man. That is probably a good description. So, are there any immediate plans for the coming few weeks?
Well, I'm in Los Angeles for the next 2 days, and then I fly to Colorado to meet a new prospective professor for our university. I will be in Colorado for about a week. Then I go to Japan for the next 10 days to meet with our university branch in Japan about record sales there. After that, I return to Los Angeles for a week, just in time for the graduation of the class of 2001. There you have it, my next month's schedule.
Thank you very much, Professor Nittick. I always enjoy having you on our show. We hope to have you back on our show next time.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear part of a lecture about aquaculture and the fishing business. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
So, what I'm going to talk about to you today is something called aquaculture. It has been responsible for the impressive growth in the supply of fish for human consumption. There's also been a slight improvement in the state of certain fish stocks due to improved fishery management. Aquatic food production has transitioned from being primarily based on the capturing of wild fish to the culture of increasing numbers of farmed species. In recent years, a type of genetically modified salmon has been farmed in the New England region, produced by a Massachusetts-based biotech firm. This type of fish is engineered to grow twice as fast as its conventional farm-raised counterpart. As a result, this increases the speed of the local aquaculture industry development, and thus reduces the fishing pressure on wild stock. But local residents have expressed their concerns on the potential negative effects on the ecosystem should those GM fish ever escape into the sea. Stronger, healthier and faster growing, these fish might cannibalize others or outcompete wild-type fish for food. Local decision makers and regulators have thus pushed forward a number of measures, making it impossible for most GM fish to mate. A small percentage is able to breed only within confined pools. Despite the economic boom of genetically engineered fish, culturing traditional types of fish is still mainstream among fish farmers. Most of them prefer fish with special features, such as tuna. It is a source of high-quality protein with almost no fat. It also contains all essential amino acids required by the body for growth and maintenance of lean muscle tissue. With high nutritional value, this kind of fish will always be popular in the fish market. For the fish farming industry, incidents of fish escaping the farms has been a troubling issue over the years. Due to bad weather, nets that used to hold the fish were often destroyed. Thousands of salmon, worth nearly 220,000 euros, escaped from a fish farm in the Norwegian region in July, raising fear that they would breed with wild fish stocks. Cages were thus built to withstand storms. The frames of the cages are made of PE, which is dedicated to marine use. This material has trustable strength, resilience, and tenacity. To further strengthen it, strong nets without knots are used to support the cylindrical frame. A group of small villages on the island of Zanzibar off the coast of East Africa have been trying to develop a local aquaculture industry sustainably. They use a land-based production system that is both economically and ecologically sound. Land-based recirculation can control ocean temperature and optimize growth for the fish that are used to warmer water. All organic waste from the fish is held on land, with incoming water sterilized to avoid disease, which has historically plagued ocean-based farms. The lack of disease means that no drugs are administered to the fish. However, one problem facing the villagers is lack of suitable land on the coast for this system. Hotels and beaches open to tourists take up most of the coastal area. Another problem facing local fishermen is the scarcity of young fish used to breed the species. This predicament stems from overfishing during the previous decades. The local commercial fishing industry has been reduced by 50% for this reason, and the aquaculture industry has yet to thrive. The government has taken a set of initiatives to safeguard native aquaculture and the fishing industry. An open-air seafood market has been launched. Residents are encouraged to support local fish farming businesses by purchasing marine products. As it turns out, there is a public demand for access to locally produced, sustainable sources of fresh seafood. Moreover, local fish farmers are aided to market seaweed and oysters, both of which have additional economic values. Seaweed is used in various ways in cosmetics. Seaweed extract is often found on the list of ingredients constituting creams, soaps, shampoos, powders, and sprays. It is said to be useful in various ways, including the relief of rheumatic pain and the removal of cellulite. Oyster is a source of seafood popular among the local hospitality industry. Served with caviar and champagne, it is one of the world's ultimate luxury foods, appealing to gourmets with its succulent and delicate flavor. It thus appears to have the greatest potential for commercial culture, even though the national and international market has shown demand for marine products in Zanzibar. It is still challenging to survive in the competitive modern fishing industry. The government ought to restore the business by encouraging aquaculture, recreation, and shipping. First, it could utilize modern fish farming technology to supply more high-quality marine products. Tourism is an effective stimulus to boost its sales, and with better shipping capability, more products can be delivered abroad.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.